Anybody who goes on a website favoring ISIS or Al-Qaeda or other terrorist groups, that should be a felony, and they should go to jail. Any organization which hosts such a website should be engaged in a felony. It should be closed down immediately.
I can't even listen to it. That was Newt Gingrich last night reacting to yesterday's terror attacks in Nice. Joining us from Capitol Hill, co-chair of the Congressional Progressive Caucus, Democratic Congressman Keith Ellison of Minnesota. Your reaction, sir, to Speaker Gingrich's comments?
Well, more important than my reaction to Newt Gingrich, my reaction to what happened in Nice is just pure sympathy and just absolute condemnation of that horrific, murderous truck rampage. The people who do that kind of thing, we absolutely have to stand against them, but we have to do it by engaging everybody who hates what they do, including the Muslim world, which brings me to your question. Look, we cannot afford to alienate allies and loyal Americans. Al-Qaeda, ISIS, all these groups, they kill more Muslims than any other group. Why we would want to alienate allies and loyal Americans, I just don't know. I think that he simply doesn't understand the nature of the conflict, and it just proves why he could never be anywhere close to power, because he is intemperate, doesn't understand the conflict, going to cause more problem than he would ever hope to solve.
You know, so Eamon, I want to bring you into the conversation. You can take it to the congressman, but the problem is that when you talk about making an attempt not to alienate the very people who could perhaps have the biggest influence in fighting these problems, Muslim Americans and different groups, in the midst of this heated political campaign, it sounds soft on terror. It sounds like we don't know what we're doing. And it actually is the beginning and the end of the process.
And unfortunately, there is a negative misperception among Americans towards Muslims in general.
Right.
I mean, all the data
really
shows that all of the overwhelming majority shows that Americans generally don't have a favorable view of Islam as a religion and have suspicions about it. But when Newt Gingrich, former congressman, was talking about issues of compatibility, Sharia law with Western values, I think that poses a serious challenge, because it's very difficult for somebody like Newt Gingrich and others to define what Sharia law is. They're not experts on Sharia law, but aside from that, the practicality of it, what does that mean? Do you think that somebody you're going to ask, oh, do you believe in Sharia law, is going to be honest with you if they're really hell-bent on trying to carry out an attack in the United States, or if they have any difficult feelings? So, Congressman Ellison, I wanted to pick up on the point that you were talking about, not alienating the community. One of the issues that has been brought up systematically in France has been the issue of socioeconomic challenges faced by the descendants of migrants there and communities there in Brussels and Paris, the slums there. We have that problem here in the United States. What are the problems, what are the challenges that the Muslim American community is facing here that need to be addressed to avoid that alienation further?
Well, first of all, civil rights, human rights. We have to treat people equally and fairly, and we should only use law enforcement tools based on people's behavior, things that they actually do to gain them the interests of law enforcement. But otherwise, we should treat people the way we would expect under our First Amendment: freedom of religion, freedom of expression, freedom of assembly. You know, so for example, you have a lot of people who, I can assure you, have never done anything other than be loyal Americans, and yet they have tremendous trouble getting on airplanes. This is not helping us. We should also make sure that we are reaching out and making sure that there's opportunity and inclusion, and we should actively fight back, and leaders should actively fight back on prejudice, as George W. Bush did right after 9/11. So the bottom line is this: you know, there is no such thing as one Sharia. Sharia varies from time to time and from place to place. There's no unified document. In fact, fasting in Ramadan is Sharia, by the way. So everybody so that's the problem with what Newt Gingrich is saying. He's talking about violent attacks on innocent people. That is what we That is what is unacceptable, and we have to engage everyone to stop this kind of thing. And that means whether you're Muslim, Christian, Jew, whatever you are, we have to confront it together.
What frightens me about his comments is that I think he knows better.
He does know better. That's the sad thing about Newt Gingrich. He's a very smart man. It's just calculating, pandering, and it's really sad.
He knows better. Evelyn, you wanted to make a point about Syria in the last block, and then maybe take it to the Congress.
Part of the problem is, we didn't get to that element of it. I mean, first of all, and I think Mark did mention the safe havens. We have to get rid of the safe havens, so Iraq and Syria. But we have to get rid of Bashar al-Assad, because really, at the heart of it is legitimacy. And if we don't come to a solution in Syria that takes away any shred of legitimacy, any argument that the terrorists can use to recruit new followers, then we are going to lose this. So that's one element of it. We have to make sure that we have a settlement that looks fair and we alleviate the suffering in Syria.
All right, Congressman Keith Ellison, thank you so much.
Right.
Yeah, you agree with that?
Thank you very much. Yes, I do.
All right, take care. Thank you very much for being on. We're back in a moment.